Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ahmaduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astadihi wa astagfiruhu wa umminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu wa la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Arsalahu bil huda wa din al-haq liyadhhiruhu ala din kullihi wallahu karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him. We seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. And this way of life known as Islam will rise to its position in this world whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd fa inna istiqal hadith kitabullah wa awtaqa al-ura kalimatu taqwa wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khayrul sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah wa asanu al-kasasi hadha al-Quran wa khayrul umuri awazzimuha wa shayrul umuri muhdatatuha wa asanu al-hadyu hadyu al-anbiya wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa amma al-amma dalalatul ba'da al-huda wa khayrul amali ma nafa'a wa khayrul hadi ma utba'a wa shayrul amma al-kalb. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the most truthful discourses is the book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the communities is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all nations, or the best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. The best acts are the ones that yield benefits. The best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmaru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i dil qurba wa yanha anil fashai wal munkari wal bagi yaitakum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يَرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breasts to Islam. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutuna illa wa antum muslimun. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam or submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraku. And hold fast altogether by the rope which Allah stretches out to you, and be not divided. Kuntum khayra umatin ukhrijat lil nasi tamaruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna anil munkar Wa tu'minuna billah, you are the best peoples ever raised up for mankind, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairil mursalin Muhammadin an-Nabi al-Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, yaqul Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem. Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I just want to read, sometime when I'm moving around and I don't have nothing to write on, and the idea hits me, and I just write it on a napkin or whatever is there. So this one says, happiness is going fishing. You see that on license plate everywhere. But for me, that was just something flashed in my mind. But what I say here, happiness is fighting the system with no fear. Happiness. I'm talking about for me. That's what happiness is. I don't know what other people may be happy going fishing. In fact, the other day I was thinking, man, I hadn't been fishing in 40 or 50 years, but I was saying maybe I might enjoy just going, sitting out on the bank and just throw something out there and do a little fishing. Happiness is fighting the system without fear. The other one says crisis management. I gave a talk on that. But it says compare Donald with Musa. In other words, compare Donald. And then it's scratchy here, but it says expose, in live and living color. That's what they used to say on TV 40, 50 years ago. We're bringing you this TV program in live and living color. So live, it's there. That's old Don. Live and in living color. I just want to read you one little statement from last week. This is from the poison book, the Bible. They saw him from a distance, and before he came near to them, they conspired to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes the dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we shall say that a wild animal had devoured him, and we shall see what becomes of his dream." Of course, that's about Joseph. There's another writing here. Thus will thy Lord choose thee and teach thee the interpretation of stories and events, and perfect his favors to thee and to thy posterity of Jacob, even as he perfected it to thy fathers Abraham and Isaac aforetime. For thy Lord is full of knowledge and wisdom. I don't know whether we want to call this Joseph and his brothers number 3 or number 5 or something like that. But this is about us and our brothers. So I want to begin by reading a couple of ayats and then give a little discussion on it. The first one is, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Laqad kana fi Rasulillahi uswatan hasanatan liman kana yarjullaha wa yawmal akhirah وَذَكْرُ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. You have indeed in the Messenger of Allah a beautiful pattern of conduct for any whose hope is in Allah and the final day, and who engages much in the praise of Allah. وَلَمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الْأَحْزَابَ قَالُوا هَذَا مَا وَعَدَّنَا اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَصَدَّقَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَمَا زَادَاهُمْ إِلَّا إِيمَانًا وَتَسْلِيمًا. When the believers saw the Confederate forces, they said, "This is what Allah and His Messenger had promised us, and Allah and His Messenger had told us what was true." And it only added to their faith and their obedience. This is referring to Uswatan Hasanatan. That means Uswa is a character, a mold, a shape, a model. So that's why it says, you have indeed in the Messenger of Allah a beautiful pattern of conduct. You have in Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam a perfect mold, a perfect stature, a perfect symmetry. And it is wajib to follow the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wajib means it's necessary if you want to fulfill the obligations of Islam. So then it says he's a beautiful pattern of conduct for any whose hope is in Allah and Yawm al-Akhirah. If your hope is in Allah and the next life, and he engages much in the praise of Allah. When the believers saw Azab, the Confederate forces, they said, "This is what Allah and His Messenger promised us." In other words, there were clear statements in the past before this time. Azab, the Battle of Azab, was about 8-year Hijrah, when they surrounded Al-Medina. That's the Battle of the Khandaq, when they had to build a ditch to protect them. In fact, when they was digging the ditch, they were so hungry they tied rocks around their belly, to cut back on hunger, And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tied 2 rocks on his. And they was digging a trench, and they came to a spot, and there was a big rock there blocking the way. And they called the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he came with his pick, and he hit that pick. And then he hit that that rock again. On the 3rd time, the rock shattered, and a big spark flew out. He said, "I saw in that spark the fall of Rome and Persia." I saw in that spark the fall of Rome and Persia when all the Arab forces had them surrounded. Every time the Prophet ﷺ made some prediction in those conditions, it wasn't you that threw, but they won the battle. You could have said, "This man is crazy. He's imbecilic." You got all them Arabs out there, all the Arabs in Arabia, and there's 4 or 5 of us here. We so scared we got to build a ditch, right, to fight behind. That's Roman warfare. That's European warfare. The Arabs didn't build no trenches. But Shuaib Rumi said, "Hey man, it might be a good idea we dig a trench around this city." They dug the trench. In time, the winds blew all them Arabs away. The winds blew them all away. And they went home, and then the Muslims said, or the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "This is the last time they will attack us. From now on, we're going to attack them." Of course, this is true. This is history. But to see in that spark the fall of Rome and Persia, And both of these were the great empires of their day. And that means that there's a great vision, there's a great ability to project into the future. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a recipient of divine information, divine guidance in words. But that's Hadith Qudsi. That's not in the Quran, but he said to the people, and they recorded it, I saw in that spark the fall of Rome and Persia, the two great empires of that day. We've been using that for decades because the fall of the Soviet Union was brought into being by the great Afghan forces. They're still fighting in Afghanistan now. They're still unconquered. The Russians killed 1.6 million people. 10% of the people was killed in Afghanistan 30 years ago. 30 years ago, that's when the Russians left. That was 30 years ago they left there. And it was 20 years ago, about 20 years ago now, they say 18 years, when old boss man went into Afghanistan. But they had called Afghanistan the graveyard of empires, because everybody that got any sense looked at Afghanistan and said, hey man, first of all, the people are poor. I mean, dirt poor. When you dirt poor, you can stand anything because you're dirt poor. Can't nobody take nothing from you because you're dirt poor. The United States been over there killing people. The Russians had already killed 10% of the population. At that time, it had 16 million people. 1.6 million people were murdered and slaughtered by the Russians. But when the Soviet Union came into Afghanistan, it left as the Russians, not as the great Soviet Empire. That boy is finished. Now they're halfway on our side. There's only one left now. It's Boss Man. Yeah, you see this t-shirt, Boss Man Bites the Dust? That's what we're talking about today. Boss Man is finished. Now, I want to relate to you the rest of this, but this is what Allah and His Messenger promised us. Sadaqallahu. This is what Allah said. And told us what was true, but it only increased them in faith and zeal and obedience. That means zadahum, their faith was increased by them being surrounded. And obedience, taslim, you know when we finish praying. Among the believers are men who have been true to the covenant of Allah. Of them, some have completed their vow to the extreme, and some still wait. From the very beginning, Islam had 62 battles a battle every 62 days during the Medina period. So some have already completed their vow to the fullest. Hamza and all of them. But they have never changed their determination in the least, that Allah may reward the men of truth for their truth and punish the hypocrites if that be His will, or turn to them in mercy. That's the hypocrites. A lot of people, they look at only hypocrites are going to be at the bottom of the fire, but they don't read the other options. Allah give you out, He says, Allah may forgive the hypocrites. People forget about that. Remember, never forget, Allah is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. He's Al-Ghafurul Rahim, all forgiving, most merciful. You don't never give up hope in Allah's soothing mercy. No matter how colored you are, no matter how Negroid you are, no matter how your behavior reflects the world that you live in. Never give up hope of Allah's soothing mercy. That's what the Quran tells us. But then, about the hypocrites, His will, or turn to them in mercy. For Allah is oft forgiving. Yeah, that's Al-Ghafuru Rahim, most merciful. And Allah turned back the unbelievers for all their fury. No advantage did they gain. And enough is Allah for the believers in their fight, and Allah is full of strength, able to enforce His will. Allah turned back the design of these people. There's been a great plague on the Muslims today. Wars are fought in Muslim countries. Weapons are sold to both sides. The friends of America, like Saudi Arabia, can slaughter and bomb from the air the people of Yemen all they want. Palestinians can be expelled from their land and land annexed year in and year out from people who don't even come from that area. But it's okay, because boss man puts his stamp of approval on it. That's what he do. But I want to lay out a little story to you. Now, there's a Negro that we knew. He went to Algeria. He was there with the Black Panther Party for quite some time. Well, it was several months. And he offered to them a way out of, a way to finance their party and do some real damage to old Sam. And so this guy, and there's two witnesses still alive. Sekou Dinga is still alive up in New York, and Pete O'Neill is still alive. So if anybody got any questions, they got to contact them, because they're not teenagers, just like I ain't no teenager. But I'm the youngest out of them. So you better call. I'm 75, so you better get busy verifying what I'm saying. And this guy said, look, this guy had a belief coming out of his background. He was preaching a belief. He said, the people is going to save America. This is when the revolution is about wrapped up. He said, it's gangster niggas. He said, gangster niggas going to raise the money. Gangster niggas going to do this, that, and the other. And they're the ones. What he was doing was looking at other Negroes, and he was projecting his own attitude on the rest of the Negroes. They didn't do that. In fact, the Negroes, as soon as they got a chance, 1 year later, Superfly come out, and all the Negroes, the normal Negroes, pulled off all them fatigues and jump boots and tams and camouflage stuff and black jackets. Hey, man. And they growed them Lord Jesus. Well, that's what we used to call, the long hair. Jumped in them maxi coats. That was only a year later, because I was in South America at that time, and I got a newspaper. I used to get the newspaper down there in Colombia. Wall Street, not Wall Street, the New York Times used to come a day late down there. They put it on the airplane, bring it. So I used to get the New York Times a day late, and I saw in the movie section, man, it was a guy with a big old pretty Cadillac. I said, man, that guy looks like me, like I did the year before. I said, man, look at the grill on that Eldorado. He had an Eldorado. That's a little old car. That wasn't nothing. He had to have a Brougham. That's what we had. But he had an Eldorado. It's okay. The people didn't know the difference. So all of a sudden, the people abandoned everything that was possible for them. Now, here we are in Algeria. Somebody said somebody took them a stack of money and then told them, you want to have a successful revolution. That means we're over here, we'll raise enough money and we'll go back to America and take it over. Of course, you're young at that time, and that's the way you think. While we niggas can whoop 10 white folks, that's the way you felt. At least in those days. I don't think they think that way now. And we'll go back and we'll whoop the white man. Now that's you said, well, that was stretching out. But the key is we thought, or they thought, or somebody thought that the way to finance your operation is make a black dope dealing cartel, say. So they asked me or the guy, they said, have you ever done that before? He said, no, but it can't be much to it. Just we know about Mexico, that's smuggling, and shoot, we'll go on Colombia and, and we'll do all of that. We can do all of that. They since nobody had done it, they said, no, we don't believe in that, so we can't do it. Then Brother Setterway, Michael Tabor, he had been a drug user, and he wrote a book called Dope Plus Capitalism. Of course, he was right. And we used to argue all the time. He said, man, I got an uncle that sell dope. He ain't gonna never change. I said, no, the Negro gonna change. He's gonna, cause I was thinking, this is what I did. The white man got on my case so much in California. I said, I fixed the white man. I'll take the money I got left. I'll go over and join the revolution, which when I joined, I was in there. Not I, somebody was in it. Anyway, so in Algeria, we didn't do that. But we said the Negroes is going to rescue the other Negroes from this tragedy. And now, I do fulfill towards you the duties of my Lord's mission. Sincere is my advice to you, and I know from Allah something that you do not know. Do you wonder? There had come to you a message from your Lord through a man of your own people to warn you so that you may fear Allah and happily receive mercy. The other page said the same thing. He said, "O my people, I am no imbecile." They thought he was crazy talking that prophethood and stuff. So the other ayah before said, "I see thou art an imbecile, and what we think you are a liar." So he's replying, "I ain't no imbecile, but I am a messenger from the Lord and cherisher of the worlds." Now you got to remember, y'all done just read your section of Quran. No matter how far you along, the prophets and messengers didn't have nothing but hassles. And ain't but one of them, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the people all listened. They got with Musa, but guess what? Every inch of the way, you put the sun over them, they out in the desert. Now you know how shade is outside sometimes. In the summer, you just wait a minute, you'll see how shade is. Can you imagine you walking all over the desert and you got shade following you, got clouds following you. You got manna and quail. If you think I'm jiving, you go down to the store, if you can find some, and buy squab, baby pigeons. You got to be a billionaire if you think crabs and all that is expensive. A lobster tail, try to find some squab. They got that free. And their bread, they could scrape it off rocks. You know what I mean? The flour, like a halwa. They just scrape it, The moss is there, they scrape that. They got it free. Oh, we don't want none of that, no more of that. We tired of this. In the Bible it said, We had it better at the flesh pots of Pharaoh food than running around out here. And everywhere they went, they was moaning and groaning. You could imagine Musa alayhi salam had to have a lot of patience, which he didn't, because, his brother got with him for a minute. He grabbed him by the head. He said, "Oh, my brother, don't grab," you know what I mean? My father's son. Something he said to let him know, "Hey, man, I'm your brother." The people was talking so crazy, they would have lynched me if I would have told them, "Don't make no calf," right? He says, so for harmony, that's his story, I just let them do it. They looked around, they saw all other people. They had idols, so they said, "Hey, we'll make some too," right? But they idols haven't brought them across the water. They idols haven't broke the back of Pharaoh. They ain't did nothing. So anyway, it was only a few prophets, peace be upon them, that had a good crew. Now, poor Noah, he was there 950 years, and he couldn't even keep his sons there. Boy, let me tell you. Anyway, so let me go on a minute, because I'm going to tell you a story. You'll like it. Do they wonder? Oh, yes. "I but fulfilled towards you my duties of my Lord's mission." This says twice. "And I'm to you a sincere advisor. Do you wonder that there hath come to you a message from your Lord through a man of your own people, to warn you, call in remembrance that he made you inheritors after the people of Noah, and gave you a stature tall among nations." And I'd read many tafsirs, and they supported this. But stature, sometimes they use another word, but this is the one that most of them use. Stature. We gave you a stature high amongst the people, that we made you not just big and tall, but we made you serious. We gave you a station. And that was our mission ever since we can remember. The Negro needed to have a piece of this earth. So at first in Oakland, all we did, we got rich, so we just made everybody else rich, because that's what everybody wanted, right? And it wasn't no fun being in heaven by yourself. If you think it's fun, you try it. Get yourself a lot of everything, and you got it by yourself, and ain't nobody else got nothing, right? I mean, a lot of people are like that. In fact, once they get it, they pull up the ladder, grease the pole, they do everything to stop you from getting anything. So I beg your pardon. Yeah, some people are exactly like that. Negroes, Europeans, the human beings, some people, as soon as they get a dollar or $5 a head, they start using that money to block your avenues and exits and on-ramps to getting any money. Okay. So this has a lot to do about stature. And this is something that talks about our people here, because here that talks about, "I but fulfilled towards you the duties of my Lord's mission." So it's not his mission, right? It's his Lord's mission. Right across on it, "But I fulfilled towards you the duties of my Lord's mission." So it's twice on the same page. So when people sometime, because when I finish this story, you're going to think this something is some person's mission. But throughout history, Allah have changed the rule of one group of people to another, one great nation to another, right? the history. So at this time, this right here is an invitation. Invitation to not only forgive a lot of people, it's not only that, but it's also a mission to carry out Allah's duty, and for whoever fulfills this duty, that it gives them stature in the land. So technically what I'm saying is that there should be a group of people right now today. Instead of telling like a story and pretending, I'm going to tell you just like the way it's written down here. Look, somebody asked the other day about manna and other groups, and I said, well, I'll deliver Sunday, but I'm just doing it today. Look, here's where we are in America, and here's how we got here. It's not a new plan. It's been a plan all along. Because when a rebellion is over, and you got to stumble and wander in the wilderness, and you do know who you up against. You know who you're up against? Because you've been up against him a couple of times, and he don't change, right? So then you got to come up with a strategic plan. How we going to carry this out? And number one, the first thing you got to realize, it's going to take a while. It ain't going to happen tomorrow, because there ain't no signs of nothing happening tomorrow. But you're looking for signs. When you initiate your plan, right, you and those who are with you, you're going to be waiting for signs and signals in the universe, because the Quran says there are signs in the universe and signs in yourself. Now, when those national and international signs kick in, then it's time for the plan to kick in. So we have had in our mind from day one, it's kind of like a lone survivor. That's actually what it is. It's a lone survivor from that period of rebellion. You don't see nobody else running their mouth. And when the big boys get out of the penitentiary after 30 or 40 years, they ain't got nothing to say. I go see my old partners. We might have been somewhere together in exile. Hey, here's a little bit of something to keep you going. And that's it. You don't see them no more. They don't call you. They don't mention nothing. And you just give them a little bit, oh, maybe you can do this or maybe you can do that. I mean, that stuff started, you get people like the New York 21 and all them, they was getting out of the pen 30 years ago. Hey, man, this might be something that might work. No, I got the white folks go invite me to talk about black revolution. And the white folks do, the liberal white folks, they invite them all over, and they ain't got a dime. They ain't got no dime and they ain't got no program. Why? Because the liberal white folks ain't got no plan. Whatever their plan is to use the Negro, but not to bring the Negro along or nothing like that, right? What was that brother Hubert Harrison back in the 20s? Oh, he's a good brother. But he was too black, not only physically black, but he was organized and good sense of clarity. You never heard of him hardly. Why? Because he didn't let white folks, the white liberals and the others, dictate policy, right? You know what I mean? So you don't hear nothing about him. The plan in America was to cut Imam Musa off from everything. And do you know what? They actually did. They actually did. The people cut the poor brother off from everything. I mean, if you think I'm lying, you can't go to Dar al-Hijra, and anybody that was over there, if they was at Howard first, they got to be imam or something over there. and they cut, all of a sudden, you can't have no programs over here no more. Right? Isn't that something? This is a Negro. And then the Negro goes over there and joins the Arabs that told him to do that. Right? And the people coming in here, they invite us out to Gaithersburg every week. I don't know if y'all remember. We go out there, just the big joints out there, and we had all the big demonstrations 15, 20 years ago, right? And everybody in love with us, and it's just running smooth. And you can't get a call on the telephone now. And all the big boys, what they call the big boys, we for black people. But all of them can get on a program, and you sit there at the meeting. We want to have a big meeting and develop MANA, Muslim Alliance of North America. Only reason I went to the first one was Imam Jamil asked me to go down there, go and see what they do and get with them. I said, okay. I said, I don't take, that was 20-something. that was a long time ago. In fact, it was when we was at the ISNA program. Do you remember at the ISNA program a long time ago when I went up to Detroit to give a talk and they kept my truck and I had to come back on the bus to Chicago and ride with y'all? That's when it was. Hassan Bagby, Professor Hassan Bagby. Professor Hassan Bagby. He just happened to go to the American University of Cairo. Now, to a lot of y'all, the American University don't mean nothing. Just so America, great, that's America. But to all of us, American University, the one out there, that's where Zaid Shaka went, right up the street, right across the way, right? That's like wearing a sign. I am the police. Right? That's what it sounds like. That's what anybody that comes from the American University and jump out of there, giving talks, sitting up on the Kokab Siddiqui, speaking with the Iranians, doing all that, that's 40 years ago. First time I met Zaid was in L.A. He gave the khutbah. I gave the khutbah in 81. He gave the khutbah in 82 at the Quds demonstration. Why he gave the khutbah? Not that I was supposed to give it, but the Negro Shias, undercurrent types in L.A. was, don't let him do it. We da-da-da-da-da. You know, they still out there now, some of them. So the history I'm getting ready to tell you about, I've been here a long time. I know, basically, I'm not going to say I know what I'm talking about, but I do. So you can take it the way you want it. But here's where we are now. We have boss man in a bad situation. You know they have white whistleblowers. You saw one yesterday on TV. He blew the whistle. Think about a group of Negro whistleblowers, the Muslim whistleblowers. Now, I'm talking about this is strategy, big time strategy. Just hear me out. Now hold on. Now just imagine that all the tattletales, all the snitches, all the people that's been purposely working against us, or let's don't say us, let's say me. It's the truth. Look, I'm telling you the truth, you can believe it or not. And they go and they make a public statement that we've been tattletales all along. And our job and our duty and our responsibility, now you got to remember the Quran said you got to do certain things that's going to give you stature. But that stature, this is a chance for the Negro to be on the world stage at the time when it's necessary. You got to look at it now. Boss man in trouble right now. Boss man in big trouble. And we have been working for almost, next week, it'll be 40 years. Technically, this stage of the game started 35 years ago. The first 5 years was regular We are masjid, we want to love everybody, have and all of that. And then you say, that ain't happening. Not that way. So you got to come up with something new. And we always use the term Star Trekism, right? That means it's got to be bigger and beyond anything we ever did, and nobody has ever done it before. But you got to remember how great this is. We right on the verge, this is stage 2 Adolf Hitlerism in America. Well, I know about Hitler because I've been watching, I done seen everything on that man since I've been coming up, over and over and over again. World War II in high definition, the Muslims invade Poland, Czechoslovakia, Neville Chamberlain, Peace in Our Time, 1938. I've seen it all over and over and over again. I've listened to his speeches. When they translate it, they don't translate it much. You know why? Because a lot of what he's saying make a lot of sense. When he talk about Zionist bankers and all of that, right? He make a lot of sense. So if you hear it, but you just see him jumping up and down and invading people. The people he invaded wasn't no better than he was. He happened to lose. His only problem was he believed his own press. Like basketball players, the boxers believe, you Iron Mike. After a while, Iron Mike don't train no more. Because he Iron Mike, right? Poor guy don't train no more. When you don't train no more, it's like Muhammad Ali and Leon Spinks, right? Leon Spinks can't fight. He's the only man that I ever seen in the ring that hit people with haymakers. Remember them haymakers when you have your head down and you hit over? He's the only, you think about Leon Spinks. You ain't never seen everybody else throwing straight from the shoulder. Tell the truth, nobody except Leon Spinks hit people with haymakers. But anyway, here we are in the world today, and we have at our disposal an engineered process over 35 years in the making of being able to put up. The fitna is so deep and smells so bad, you don't know how nobody could have put up with all of that for all of that time. Now I'm going to tell you why and how. Number one, if you was in South America dealing drugs, doing hundreds of thousands of dollars, cocaine, and you by yourself now. And in Colombia, in those days, it took $20 for a professional hit. So what did you have to do with those people? All your associates are either white, mostly from Canada, some of them Jews, or they Colombians. Of course, you can't do it, but if Allah got a mission for you, He'll keep you alive. Because you can't be smart enough to keep yourself alive. You think, yeah, I'm doing this here, And you believe that you can learn how to make yourself so acceptable to people and so non-threatening is a word. Non-threatening to all those people that they say it's better for him to be alive than to be dead, because he is a Negro down here, $100,000. In those days, it's like $1 million. That's the same as $1 million today. And you doing a deal. And you don't bring the Negroes down till it's time to come back up here. And you doing those kind of deals in South America. You learn how, or you think you learn, how to behave where it's non-threatening. Where it's non-threatening to people. Down there, you don't laugh now. But even the Colombians, some of them, didn't respect black people to the level of management, like, and leadership. But they thrived on white leadership. White boys got, they got what's going on. And if you black and you telling the white boys what to do, you got to play like this ain't what we're doing. I used to wear a pair of overalls, and I used to keep a broom. So when we invited everybody, guess what I would do? Yes, I'd get my broom, and I'd stand there, because that's what they expected a nigga to have. Just because he's running everything, you don't have to tell everybody, I'm running this show, right? You got to learn how to have fun, and you can't be so, I'm this and I'm that. One of our friends, an imam, he had that attitude. He was good in almost everything, but he didn't know how to make fun of himself. He was too serious with himself. If you do this, I'm going to fix you. And it's sad, because it's only one or two little things, but the white man study a nigga. He can't, so he gonna hit you with everything and push, and you just gotta, I don't know what's happening. And the other niggas, we used to say, you have to hang out there on that thing like a punching bag, and everybody just hitting you, bam, bam. You gotta be able to take it. You gotta be able to think all the way to the end. That's right now. Allah is al-Ghafur rahim, and you got to be the same way. You got to overlook all the stuff that the Negroes did, cutting you off and hanging you up. Siraj was over there, what's his name? Dal Hijra, raising money for a manor. He raised a long time ago, 20, 30, it was just $36,000 just after prayer. So that's a little money. I am not, we do not have the same program, we both in manner, as Imam Musa. Why you say that? To let them know, Imam Musa don't run this, we do. You think Imam Musa's a big shot, but we got this covered. Me, Zaid, and all those people. Zaid's a nice man, but 20 years ago at UCLA, he said, Islamic movement is not on the job training. In other words, and then he got to listing in order to do Islamic movement, you got to be a big sheikh, you got to know half of the Quran or all of it, and billions of hadith. I totally didn't agree with that, but I didn't say a word about it. Why? Because I didn't want the people to think that the Negro always got to argue with each other. So I just sit there. He come to me again in 97 at the ISNA program in Chicago. Imam Musa, I want to talk to you about something. Now I had two tables, one with As-Sabiqun on it and the other in books. Abdul Malik was supposed to be at the book table. I mean at the table with As-Sabiqun on it. So we met upstairs, and Zaid had Hamza with him, Hamza Yusuf, the great white sheikh. And Hamza was saying, the brothers, they make me afraid. The niggas in California. You know our crew, As-Sabiqun. I said, you don't have to worry about nothing. Well, I teach Imam Malik. I said, you can teach anybody you want. And I was Abdul Malik. I said, you tell the brothers that leave this man alone. You see, he's a scary white man, white boy. That's what it's almost a girl. So why would you want to, you know what I mean, be bothering him? And all y'all standing there in black, all swole up, looking at that. The man is scared. Why you can't do that? If you're a Sabiqun, you let everybody alone. And they did. He was mad. I said, no, you can't say nothing to him. When we got something out there, Zayd come out there working with Hamza Yusuf, so we'd have a black end talking about Malcolm X and opening a masjid right up the way across town. They still have it out there, the lighthouse, they call it. We call it the dark house. I'm saying you cannot imagine the level of fitna and foolishness that everybody has been involved in. You can't get no information, no telephone call, no nothing from nobody right now. The same thing here, all the brothers just packed up and strolled on off. Why you think they opened a research center? When they thought it was all finished up, then they closed it. Because they thought they done. We're not done, we're just at the beginning. We rested and ready. They don't know, they should study our pattern. We rested and ready. We ready to go now. We opening the door to everybody, but we're not going to wait no 500 years for the Negro to make up his mind. What we're saying is, all the Negroes should turn whistleblowers in unity, en masse, and make black people and the world happy. This thing right now is arranged. If we make the right moves, we can shake up the world. I want you to imagine where are all the wars at in the Muslim world. I mean, in the world. Most of them are in our countries, right? Therefore, if we all go down there and whistleblow all at the same time, right? Now, don't worry about, well, the people know, don't you worry about that. We got a storyline. Storyline. The storyline goes like this. When we began to meet back in the early 80s, we arranged this. Not just me, them too. We put them in there. Remember we said we're going to write a position in there for everybody. Didn't we say that here? We said we writing, write your own history. We said we writing a good history for everybody. It's like being in heaven by yourself. You don't know how happy it'd make you fighting this white man and ain't got a scratch on you. That feels wonderful. Again, nothing I can tell you. If you don't believe it, you know why? It looks bad. I wouldn't want to be that guy. Well, yes, you would if you knew what was happening. If you knew what was happening, you'd run, be knocking on the door. Man, I want to get with you because you happy. And contented. How many of you are contented? Just come on now. How many of the tattletales are contented? You know what contentment is? How many are contented? How many follow the hadith and make this Islamic work their leisure? Leisure. You know what leisure is? It's like being on them big ships going around and you just shuffleboard, whatever you do, right? It's leisure. Well, how many would make the movement their hobby? Thinking out of the box is different. It's thinking, where do we want to go and how can we get there? It's going to be a protracted struggle. Okay. If you study and research, you will find that all our forecasts have been 98% accurate. On the heaviest level, none of the big white folks, they can't do it. They don't know. They can't do it. They cannot sit up and put nothing together. Plus, nothing is working. The next thing is this Hitlerianism. Old Don is up there, and it could go one way or the other. See? That's the sign we was waiting on. When everything is configured in a certain way, that's the sign. And then delay means, let's wait a month or two. Let's wait a month or two to see what's going on. And you wait and watch. This is the time for us to make our move. All the Negroes will be right down there. I don't know if y'all know the church hearing. The church hearings was back 74 and 75. It was the Senator's church. It was about the COINTEL program and all that. In 1971, in Media, Pennsylvania, white folks broke in the FBI office and stole a lot of their records. That's where the records of the COINTEL program come from, where it outlined, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, number 5 was to prevent young blacks, right, from joining and coming into the movement. And they did that 1,000%. Okay. This is either our last chance or our first chance. This make us tall and big in stature. Either we do it this time. Now look what I'm talking about now. It's not only for the Negro, but the Negro get a chance to emerge on the world stage. Because all the people they was using against me mostly was Negroes. We're going to leave Iranians out of it. Was Negroes. And then they got a record of their totalitarianism and all the stuff they done as a group. And they admit that to the public en masse. That blows the whole American freedom, and at this time, with Donald, we have been talking for years about influencing the direction of change. The whole system has been manipulated into that right now, and we have the chance to do it. They can do it if they want. They don't have to do it. We're not going to lose no sweat over it. They can leave the government to kill all the people they want, and they can get their little salary. They ain't gonna give a nigga nothing. You can't find no snitch. And then what's gonna happen? In 2 years or in this year, the other week they just uncovered we accidentally gave some Saudi's name that was involved in this, that, and another. Remember that? Okay. They just uncovered, Mr. O'Neill was the one that got $300 to set up our brother in Chicago, Fred Hampton. Gave him a diagram of the building. You think they're not going to tell on Zaid and Siraj? They got to. Media, Pennsylvania, was that an accident? Did the white folks get in there, or did the FBI leave the door open so they could come in and get it because they wanted to tell the world, you mess with us, this is what we're going to do to your black ass. Black behind. That's what we're going to do to you niggas. We done did it to everybody. We did it to the Puerto Ricans, 1960. We did it to the communists, 1956. The exact same program. And we did it to you. And they had the Senate hearings in the early 70s. And then the same thing right now. They gonna tell us. They gonna name the names. And the children and grandchildren gonna have to sit there and say, my daddy was a snitch and a tattletale. They're gonna have his name in the school books. They got everybody's name in it. It ain't no secrets. The white man always. Because see, after people start snitching and everything, they think we're going to get on board. When you have tools, you use those tools. But when you go for dinner and to celebrate, you don't bring your tools. You don't have no tool sack on you, right? You put the tools in the closet. You put the niggas in the closet. You put the niggas in the way. They always do that. You can count on that. If you think you're going to ease in a way, you don't know. To me, I'm telling you, you wouldn't believe how happy I am. I'm 75 years old, and I still don't have a scratch on me, everything. And then we turned it to psychological guerrilla warfare. And the white man agreed. You know what that meant was? We won't kill you, nigga, because it's psychological guerrilla warfare. They didn't let me choose the battlefield. So it's psychological. right? That means he can't do nothing to you physically. I mean, he'll give you a little itch here. They'll be itching all the time or stuff like, but that nut, you won't be killed. He mess with you he do all kind of stuff to you all day, all the time. But it's a joke. You know why? Everybody else gets killed. You look at the people, turn on the TV. They slaughter and they murder people. And here I just sit up and talk about the cracker all the time, and ain't nothing he can do about it. He done agreed. Psychological guerrilla warfare, well, we gonna scare you to death. Now, you know the first time jumping out from behind a bush, you do scare a nigga a little bit. But after the 95th time, you say, man, what are you doing jumping out from behind a bush? Or how you gonna make me think? Here's a secret. When they used to do that, when we was selling drugs, because they was working with us, they didn't know I knew, but I tested them. So when you got a big shipment of dope, say in South America, the police will come and play with you like, and you'll be saying, man, I got to get rid of this dope out of this. One time we was up on the 5th floor, and the white boys was up there, and the police was easing all around to make us paranoid. They all got paranoid. Shoot. We had, 5 or 10 kilos and some big bags. I said, give me that dope. I said, I'd jump out of this window with this dope. I'd rather be broke up than broke. You know what I mean? At that time, you got to add it. When you're young, you know what you're talking about. You're going to throw the dope out the window. You're going to throw me out with it. I'm going with that dope. Right? So that's then. But now, imagine, after 40 years of being clean, that means the white man can't scare you. Because I'm clean. You could scare me when I was dirty, but I'm clean. That's the reason we came back to America. That's the reason we solved our case. That's the reason for the last 35 years when we've been able to put up with anything you could imagine. We told the Negroes, we told Abdul Malik in Oakland, I know you're the police. People know we told. I know you're the police, but just do the police job. Get your salary and everything, but go along with it. Just let the brother know. In our story, remember, we writing this down. We can tell the story the way we want. All of a sudden, we'll tell it as though we all heroes. Well, we knew this all the time. My name is Siraj Wahaj, and I talked to Imam Musa in 1983, and we come up with a solution then. How we're going to, it's going to take a long time, but we was able to persevere. That's his story. He can tell it just like that. My name is Imam Zaid Shakir. They call me Mellow Yellow. And I first met Imam Musa in 1982. We'd all studied the COINTEL program, and we were looking at America. How will we be successful? What Imam Musa said, y'all do what they tell you. You do what they tell you. And you do it with expertise. We'll keep on doing and we'll tell it. We all had this. Abdul Malik was in on it. That guy over there, what's his name? Not Malik, what's his name? Jahari, we got him in there too, yes. I did that to Imam Musa because that was part of my program, to do what the white man told us. That was our instruction. All of us do exactly what the white man told us, and we did it. And we played it like that. I don't know how Imam Musa took it, but he said, we're going to do like Yusuf and his brothers. We're going to run this show. That's our story. We can write it the way we want. Think about it. And then what do the niggas get? They get on the world stage. When they're needed, I'm going to ask you, are the Negroes needed on the world stage that have a vision of a new world right now? And how long will this period last? It's an open window. It's an open door. How long will this opening stay here? It's been engineered all of this time with all the proper additives. That's what we're offering to everybody. We're offering it. And don't worry about me. This says, I but fulfilled towards you the duties of my Lord's mission. Now let me mix up something that we talked about the other day. My Lord. Rabbi, I showed you a couple of times in the Quran where Shaitan or Iblis is referring to Allah as Rabbi, my Lord. Right? That's okay. The Quran also says that I made men and jinn to serve me. A lot of us think of only Islam and these prophetic moves, right? But they don't look at it in modern times. Allah is still the creator. Allah still organizes. And all the plans and machinations are all under the view of Allah, right? So if somebody do something to you, it's with Allah's approval, right? Because I only made men and jinn to serve me, is what Allah is saying. And Allah gave us free will. Allah know what we're going to do. But all the Negroes, they call them sellouts and snitches. How you have to deal with them? With love and compassion. Because in the Quran says about Joseph and his brothers, you didn't even know what you was doing, right? You arranged for Joseph to be sold into Egypt, into slavery, but in a nice setup, and you helped arrange him going to prison for how many years it was. And without you, talking about the brothers, the snitches, the sellouts, right? They sold their brother for a miserable price, mean nothing. They didn't know his value. They didn't know his value. You can't expect the Negroes here that went to school. Every one of our Negroes went to school, the white man's school, every one of them. They graduated over here. They went to New York, something or other, petty school. All of them was trained by a boss man. And not one of them was trained in the white man's hold. They don't even know the white man. They don't even know him. But if you was in the back all your life with the white man being himself, because nobody's there but you and him, and you are a tar baby and a black nigger, and he exposes him, his whole inner self to you right then. You just fold your arms and say, okay. But the other brothers, they went to school. They read about democracy. You know what? They may believe they're doing a good job. We helping the Muslims. And then for the Muslims to be taught and trained and approved by the immigrant community proves they don't know what they're doing. Because the immigrant community in America want to participate in voting and integration. Isn't that right? You can vote till your hands sweat, but you ain't going to get to, can you get anybody worth a dime? You can't do it. The system won't allow it. And also it constricts your vision where you can't see nothing. You can't dream about nothing. You can't dream unless You put in a situation where you always transporting yourself out of the situation you in. And are you in jail? Are you always, just put yourself in jail. Whatever jail a white man build, a nigger can get out of it. So if you here, he got you surrounded, and technically you got him surrounded. I know you don't understand it. I'm just telling you, you got boss man surrounded. Boss man is in trouble right now. And we need our people to join in on this. If they do, the whole world going to say, hey, those guys were great. That was a great plan. And remember, we done said this for years. We're going to write everybody into this. That's what we're doing right now. And we convince one or two of them, it'll be fine. We convince all of them, it'll be even better. We can get Senate hearings, right? We can get whistleblower status, right? And so what? If the white man get mad at all them niggas, all of them, do you know how much fundraisers we could have around the Muslim world with Zaid Shakir, right? Uncle Siraj Wahaj, and niggas you don't even know about. Hey man, they can't do nothing to them. If they kill one or two of us, it's okay. The rest of us, there's a rule. If it's 10 of you and it's one left, you're still on the board. That's the revolutionary theory. If you lose 90% of your people, it ain't nothing to real revolution and real rebellion. Those are rules we play by. Those are rules we live by. So far, maybe other people didn't do it, but other people, it has nothing to do what other people do with what you see. They can sit there in the dark and look at the dark and don't see nothing. That ain't you up on a level where you can see things and you can feel them and you understand them and you move on them. I saw in that spark the fall of Rome and Persia. There are strategic alliances developing right now. Everything the white man is doing and the Saudis is doing in Yemen, it ain't working. What they doing in Iran, it ain't working. What they tried to do in Syria, it ain't working. It's costly, but it ain't working. Everything they did with us, it was costly, but it didn't work. It just didn't work. So remember, our duty is to make things clear. Our duty is not to call people to account. So far, we have done our duty. Like I say, we rested. They used to say rested and dressing. We rested and ready to go. Right. So this offer, it'll be here for a month or two, but we're not going to wait on Negroes. No. We're not going to wait around. It's not that we don't need them, but we prepared the thing for this. So Allah give you other options. We have those. And then, if you believe in Allah, you know each and everything is possible. This is the problem of slavery. The problem of slavery, man. The people don't remember. They don't feel nothing. How could somebody sell somebody out when their grandparents jumped off slave ship so they wouldn't even get over here? They don't hear them voices. They don't hear them voices at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Do you remember me? They don't hear them. Mm-mm. They don't remember them because they don't act on it. Okay, what we're saying is now we have a chance for atonement. They can make up for everything. And don't worry, we got the storyline. We tell it the way we want. We tell it the way we want. Bump them people. Okay, so let me move toward a close. If we don't do it, we'll go down in history as buffoons, clowns, and cowards. They said, you had the nigger from your own people? This is what the book says. Look here, it says it over and over again. Do you wonder that there had come to you a message from your Lord through a man of your own people? Another nigger? They can't say, I didn't understand Musa. Can they tell it to? I didn't understand what he was talking about. I didn't know. They can't say that, can they? Why? Because we, not only from the same, well, I'm a generation ahead of them, from the same generation, the same language, the same culture, and they know what they're doing. They know what they did. This is the way out. It says, for the hypocrites, even Allah is al-Ghafurur Rahim, all forgiving, most merciful. So it don't make no difference. And then you as an individual, Allah soften up your heart because you feel sorry for people, man. You say, man, just like in the old days, all that richness and everything, I used to feel sorry for people. I said, man, people got to go to work. That's terrible. Right? They got to go to work on a job. Now, of course, I had a job for a year, 65 to 66. When I go in the office now, they said, Mr. Rames, when was your last job? I said, 1966. Because I was on parole, 65, 66. 66? They wasn't born, of course. So yeah, that's when you asked me when I had a job. I said had a job in 1966. This old Social Security office. We can't give you no money. You ain't got no points or nothing, you know. So, well, keep your money then. Go to hell. I don't care nothing about that $5 y'all gonna give somebody. You know, I just thought maybe I just might get a little check or something from y'all. You keep it. Stick it up your bottom parts. But that's the way, look, you look at everybody, you say, man, everybody is worried. Now, everybody's worried about everything. I might get sick. My kids might get sick. I can't pay no rent. Right? Tell the truth. People is in a panic right now. Almost everybody. What are we going to do? You go to the store, the whole store ain't about, I've been trying to get some alcohol, you know, a little rubbing alcohol. I ain't got, every time I go and look at it, all that rubbing alcohol is gone. All the bleach is gone. So I went down yesterday. I looked up and got a couple of bottles of bleach from Home Depot, whatever they call it. Put home bleach to do the same thing, just rub it on you, just, you know. But I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry. Whatever life people been living, that's their business. It's not exciting to me. I wouldn't want to live no boring, dead, dull, go to work, go home, pay bills, and die. You never see the pyramids of Egypt, right? Mosul Tunji, Victoria Falls. You never go to Machu Picchu, mountains built up at the top of the mountains down in South America. All of that stuff, 7 wonders of the world. Suppose you'd have seen 5 or 6 of the 7 wonders of the world and been there, everything is all right. And nobody else have seen none of them. Or been, you know, like you're not there just as a tourist, you got some homeboys that, hey man, come by and smoke a couple of joints with us in, not now. Right? And you know the culture, I'm telling you, because if you go down in Peru and you go to Pizarro's tomb, and then you look at the pictures in Cusco of Spanish coming, and they got the Indians down on the ground and the Spanish on their horses busting their heads open, right? And you look at the great Inca Empire and you say, man. And then you read the history and they say the Spanish stole so much gold from Peru because people wore it as trinkets, they didn't sell it. That the ships sunk in the harbor, the Spanish galleons, they filled them so much with gold, some of them just sunk, just like that. And you see Cortez down in Mexico. Mexico City had 500,000 people in it. And hanging gardens, almost like the hanging gardens of Babylon. You know, I'm not saying you have to know all of that to be in a struggle, but it helps. Because you have ingrained in you the cycles of history. I'm going to close up here in a minute. So, if you want to be a fool and a stooge for the white man, don't say nothing. You don't have to say nothing. I'm just offering it. And a way out. When we tell it, we plan this all the time, way back in the 80s. Right? They don't know. Ain't nothing they can do about it. We tell our story. Can you imagine what the world would say? Man, Negroes can plan. They're organized. You know, this might be our last go-round. Negroes is losing that the benefits of slavery, strength, certain type of discipline. We're losing that. Negroes ain't nothing like they was a little while ago. I'm sorry. They're just not like that. We're losing. We're blending in with America. Some of the Negro kids go to school with certain people, and the people be there fighting Negroes. They ain't fought no Negroes when we was going to school. Tell the truth. They just didn't do it. And all those white men chasing Negroes, yeah. 20 white men, 10 white men chasing one Negro. But not no 5 white men chasing 2 niggas. They didn't do that. That's bad math. It didn't happen. You don't read it nowhere. It didn't happen. Because we had a stature, man. We had something going on. This may be the last go-round for coons, I'm telling you. So you can do what you want. I already know what I'm going to do. When the white man wake up, he going to be seeing me right there at the breakfast table, talking trash, and I ain't going nowhere. And now I've been here so long, it's too late for him to do anything about it, like we'll shoot the nigga, we'll fix this car and let it run off a cliff. He can't even do that no more. Well, he can, but it's too late. It's too late. Anyway, if something happened to me like that, somebody will do some research. Can you imagine anybody sit down and listen to all the CDs, all the DVDs that we've made? First of all, they'll become a scholar on America, and then they'll be shocked that a nigga could bring all that to them. I'm going to move to our close in a minute, but this is serious stuff about whistleblowing and storyline. Because our brothers are scared of the boss man. They still scared of him. But what we're saying is, go and do it. This is your last chance to be big. Imagine now, Senate hearings, the world looking. They've been lying on China, lying on Arabs, and then the Negroes come up and say, yes, they told me to do this, and told me to do that, and here's the whole history. Each one of them telling their whole story on Boss Man. Right? Can you imagine? That's big. That's where we've been going all the time. What we're saying right now is what we meant to say 35 years ago. But we had to live through it and let it develop. You think we sit here and let everybody, there's a guy that right there, you go outside, you see the doggone, there's 3 or 4 cars out there, a couple of trucks. The doggone dump truck, whatever they call it, is sitting there with the thing down on the ground so you can't move it. Why is that? That's stupid. Why is that stupid to do that? And leave it sitting there and everybody can come by and see it and you didn't move to Baltimore somewhere. It's insane. That's the level that we move Boss Man to. That everything he does is like that. It's right out in the open. That's why Don is live and in living color. Can you imagine how much fun it is to go see a fool parade himself around on television every day? And got a new story every day. And I'm telling you, they just slowed up on it. I'm going to close. I was watching the white lady. She had her legs like this, the white lady with the scarf, you know, and I said, I was looking at her feet. I wasn't looking on her dress or nothing, but she had her feet like this. And you could tell she was doing like this. And Don was saying, and by the way, we could use some radiation, and then if we just could, that disinfectant, why, it works. And 99.9%, he didn't say that, but it works, doesn't it? Yeah. And radiation, maybe we can get, I don't know, they're going to put a lamp. This is so stupid. It's like the kids, when they're 3 years old, they know how to read the bottle. Do not drink this bleach, right? Or you're going to be lit up, right? That's what it says. Oh, excuse me. This is what the thing says, right? Everybody knows that. And here's the President of the United States. And the poor white woman ain't got enough nerve to say, Don, you's a lying son of a gun. You stupid fool. You know better than that, dummy. She didn't say that. But her legs was, you know the way the girls, they do, they legs. I said, this lady just he's embarrassing her. He's embarrassing the poor lady. And she's looking, of the body language. I said, good God. But he ain't feeling bad. He is serious. That's what makes it so funny when a fool is serious. Yes. I said, that boy. I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was a ventriloquist back there, you know, and he was just moving his mouth or something. I said, I know the President of the United States won't tell all these grown people and doctors and historians to get you go down there and get you a drink of Clorox, fill it up, and guggle it on down. Good old Clorox. That's what he said, right? And then, I don't know how we're going to get the light in you, the radiation. Maybe he's going to put it. He told them to inject the stuff. He didn't say drink it. Y'all know what a hot shot is, the battery acid and kill you, you know. The second thing, this would be new. The second thing to a hot shot, if you ain't got battery acid, use bleach. And you'll send a nigga to the happy hunting ground. Right? Everybody know that. Dope dealers know it, little kids know, 4 years old. The first thing their mama tell them, don't drink that bleach. Don't drink that Clorox. Don't drink that cleaning stuff. Don't mess with that Dutch cleanser, right? That's why live and in living color, we have to take advantage. We're offered a chance. We can take advantage of all of that right now. That time will pass, and then there's two things. He could be sent away, or he could be successful. If he's successful, this is stage 2 Hitlerism. It'll be stage 3 Adolf Hitlerism. Remember, there's a lot of dumb white folks believe what he's saying. Just like there was a lot of dumb white folks believed Adolf Hitler. All he had to do was keep his base, Adolf Hitler, satisfied. All dummy got to do is keep the real uneducated white folks. Now, you know there's a lot of uneducated white folks out there. I mean, really uneducated, right? Really, they wear their emotions on the sleeve. Deep thinking, they don't go below the surface. In fact, they're not even on the surface. Their minds are somewhere else. Okay, I don't want to wear y'all out. Good God Almighty. Okay, dear believers, we'll close with this part that Star Trekism, this would be the espionage of history, man. Can you imagine if we pull this off? It would be nice. And it would give Negroes a status they ain't had in a long time. Status, stature. That's what we like about that ayat. It will give you a stature, tall amongst the people. Okay. Star Trekism, we got to go with it. O Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us what is lawful, keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from what of what is besides it. Ameen. Iqamatis salat.